Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. US seizes oil tanker off Venezuelan coast, sends thousands of troops to the Caribbean, although Venezuelan government rejects the seizure. US and Russian officials a trilateral meeting with national security advisors of 3 countries. Release of new trove of Epstein files stir political tensions ahead of 2026 US elections. Lawmakers criticize Justice Department, threaten impeachment article over lack of transparency. And in cricket, India will look to underline their supremacy over arch rivals Pakistan in Under-19 Asia Cup final today. The United States apprehended an oil tanker off Venezuela on Saturday, the latest salvo in a pressure campaign against Caracas. It was the second time in 2 weeks that US forces have interdicted a tanker in the region and comes days after President Donald Trump announced a blockade of sanctioned oil vessels heading to and leaving Venezuela. US Homeland Security Chief Kristi Noem posted a video of aerial footage that showed a helicopter hovering just above the deck of a large tanker at sea. As per media reports, the vessel was a Panamanian flagged tanker carrying Venezuelan oil that had recently left Venezuela and was in Caribbean waters. On December 10 as well, US forces seized a large oil tanker off the coast of Venezuela that was carrying sanctioned oil from Venezuela to Iran. The Venezuelan government rejected the seizure of a new vessel transporting oil. The statement described it as a serious act of international piracy. It said Venezuela denounces and rejects the theft and hijacking of a new private vessel transporting oil, as well as the forced disappearance of its crew committed by military personnel of the United States of America in international waters. Caracas said that the actions will be reported to the United Nations Security Council, other multilateral organizations and governments. Meanwhile, US military was seen operating in Puerto Rico with a US Air Force C-17 Globemaster III aircraft taking off from Mercedita Airport in Ponce. Separately, a US Navy-guided missile destroyer, the USS Thomas Hoodner, departed from the port of the Americas on Puerto Rico's southern coast. There are currently 11 US warships in the Caribbean. The US military has also conducted a series of airstrikes on alleged drug trafficking boats in the Caribbean Sea and Eastern Pacific Ocean since September. The United States has for months been building a major military deployment in the Caribbean with the stated goal of combating Latin American drug trafficking, but taking particular aim at Venezuela. US President has also repeatedly said that strikes on land in Venezuela are coming soon. US and Russian officials held talks in Florida on Saturday as the Trump administration pushed both sides to reach an agreement to end the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Putin's special envoy Kirill Dmitriev met US Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner. Marco Rubio, Trump's top diplomat and national security advisor, has said he might also join the talks. Dmitriev said the talks were constructive and would continue on Sunday. The Miami meeting followed US talks with Ukrainian and European officials on Friday, the latest discussions of a peace plan that has sparked some hope of a resolution to the conflict.
The discussions are constructive. They began and continue today and will also continue tomorrow.
Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said Ukraine supports US proposed three-way talks with Russia if they advance prisoner exchanges and pave the way for leader-level meetings.
We must fight for the United States of America. We must fight for a format in which we stand together with all our allies. with the United States playing a role both as a mediator and as a partner alongside European allies who support us. I believe this is a strong alliance and we must fight to preserve it.
Moving on to Israel-Gaza peace talks, representatives from the United States, Egypt, Qatar and Turkey met in Miami, Florida to review the next steps on the ceasefire plan. The joint statement issued by U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff said that representatives reviewed next steps in the phased implementation of the comprehensive peace plan for Gaza, and further consultations will continue in the coming weeks to advance the implementation of phase 2. It said the first phase has yielded progress, including expanded humanitarian assistance, the return of hostage bodies, partial force withdrawals, and a reduction in hostilities. In the discussions regarding phase 2, representatives emphasized enabling a governing body in Gaza under a unified Gazan authority to protect civilians and maintain public order. The U.S. Justice Department released a heavily redacted trove of files on Friday related to the Jeffrey Epstein investigation ahead of 2026 U.S. election. The trove of material released by the department included photographs of former President Bill Clinton and other famous names in Epstein's social circle, including Mick Jagger and Michael Jackson. Victims of convicted Jeffrey Epstein expressed anger after a long-awaited cache of records from cases against him were released, with many pages blacked out and photos censored. Meanwhile, a group of lawmakers, including Democratic and Republican representatives, recently criticized the Department of Justice for its incomplete release of the Jeffrey Epstein's files and threatened possible impeachment articles against Attorney General Pam Bondi and her deputy Todd Blanche. Democrats demanded answers after one image that included a photo of Trump was no longer visible in the Justice Department's online release. The department did not immediately respond to a query about the missing file. Tensions continued to rise in Honduras as residents and officials reacted to reports that the United States has denied visas to Honduran electoral officials amid delays in announcing results from the nation's presidential election. Honduras's presidential election took place on November 30, but nearly 3 weeks later, there is still no clarity on who will be the country's next president. The chaotic elections have been rocked by a fumbled vote tallying process, allegations of fraud and U.S. intervention. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said that the State Department has refused the visa application of Marlon Ochoa, a member of the Honduran National Electoral Council, and revoked the visa of Mario Morazan, the head of Honduras's electoral court. Germany's Magdeburg remembered the one-year anniversary of a Christmas market attack that killed 6 and injured 344 others on Saturday. Several hundred people followed a commemoration service on screen outside a church near the place of the attack and formed a chain of lights holding candles. German Chancellor Friedrich Merz attended the church service among 350 guests. Emergency service personnel was also present during the service as well as on the ground of the Christmas market. The attack was carried out by a 51-year-old doctor from Saudi Arabia who is currently on trial, accused of ramming his highly motorized rental car into visitors of Magdeburg's Christmas market last December. The motive for the attack still remains unclear. Alphabet's Google and Apple have advised employees on U.S. work visas to avoid international travel due to delays of up to 12 months for visa stamping appointments at embassies. Immigration law firms representing the companies said the delays stem from new social media screening requirements, warning that staff risk being stranded outside the U.S. if appointments are postponed. The advisory applies to holders of the H-1B, H-4, F, J and M visas, according to Google's memo, which said some U.S. embassies and consulates face appointment delays of up to a year. The administration of President Donald Trump this month announced increased vetting of applicants for H-1B visas for highly skilled workers, including screening social media accounts. The H-1B visa program, widely used by the U.S. technology sector to hire skilled workers, has been under the spotlight after Trump administration imposed a $100,000 fee for new applicants, new applications this year. In the United States, a federal aviation safety investigator said that a passenger texted emergency landing shortly before a Cessna, a private jet, crashed and burned in Statesville, North Carolina on Thursday. The crash killed all 7 people on board, including former NASCAR driver Greg Biffle and members of his family. National Transportation Safety Board member said that the jet had been equipped with a black box, which was not required, and said that it had been taken to the NTSB headquarters in Washington for analysis. The plane had been bound for Florida, but soon after takeoff attempted to return to North Carolina Airport. Biffle was named one of NASCAR's 75 greatest drivers in 2023. Pakistan's former Prime Minister Imran Khan and his wife Bushra Bibi have been sentenced to 17 years in prison each in a corruption case tied to the undervalued sale of official luxury gifts received by them. DD India's Adamya Mishra brings us more.
A special court of Pakistan's Federal Investigation Agency on Saturday sentenced former PM Imran Khan and his wife Bushra Bibi to 17 years in prison at Rawalpindi's Adiala jail in a corruption case. The Toshakhana 2 case concerns the alleged underpriced purchase of a jewellery set gifted to Khan by the Saudi Crown Prince in May 2021. Toshakhana refers to government departments where valuable gifts received from foreign dignitaries are kept. Prosecutors claimed the gifts were obtained in violation of Toshakhana rules, but Khan and his wife denied wrongdoing, terming the case politically motivated. Imran Khan was sentenced to 10 years under Section 34 and 409 of the Pakistan Penal Code for common intention and criminal breach of trust, and 7 years under the Prevention of Corruption Act. Bushra Bibi received the same cumulative sentence. Khan remains in Adiala jail with restricted access for family visits. The latest verdict adds another chapter to Imran Khan's tumultuous political journey, marked by popular support, fierce controversy, and now a long prison sentence. Adamya Mishra's report for DD India.
All right, let's see what's happening around the world. Divers brought a bit of festive fun to the depths of one of Europe's deepest lakes. Members of the Amphora Diving Club donned Santa hats and dived down into Lake Ohrid, taking a fully decked out Christmas and New Year's tree to the lake floor. In Pampa, Texas, local authorities apprehended an individual dressed as the Grinch after he was observed attempting to steal Christmas gifts. The suspect was transported to jail following the arrest. Sheriff's officials emphasized the importance of protecting the holiday spirit. After a 2-year pause, young people in Gaza have resumed motorcycle sports along the Netzarim axis in the central Gaza Strip. The site has once again become a popular gathering point for motorcycle enthusiasts eager to showcase their riding skills. And still to come on this edition of DD India Live. Kashmir braces for a fresh winter spell. More details ahead. The Indian women's cricket team to lock horns with Sri Lanka in the first T20 match in Visakhapatnam today. Christmas ringing in for animals too at UK's Whipsnade Zoo.
Jaipur.
You're watching DD India Live. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. On day 2 of Assam visit, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will pay tribute to martyrs at Swahid Smarak Kshetra in Boragaon, Guwahati. After that, Prime Minister Modi will travel to Namrup in Dibrugarh, where he will perform Bhumi Pujan for the ammonia urea project of Assam Valley Fertilizer and Chemical Company Limited. He will also address the gathering on the occasion. Earlier on Saturday, Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated the new terminal building of Lokpriya Gopinath Bordoloi International Airport in Guwahati. The new building marks a transformative milestone in Assam's connectivity, economic expansion and global engagement. Prime Minister also took a walkthrough of the newly inaugurated building at the Guwahati International Airport. Being India's first nature-themed airport terminal, its design draws inspiration from Assam's biodiversity and cultural heritage under the theme Bamboo Orchids. The terminal offers arriving passengers an immersive forest-like experience. PM Modi also unveiled statue of Lokpriya Gopinath Bordoloi, the first Chief Minister of Assam, in the airport premises. Addressing the gathering, PM Modi slammed Congress for neglecting Assam and reiterated his commitment to development of Assam.
कांग्रेस 6-7 दशक तक जो गलतियां करती रही और मोदी एक एक करके उसको सुधार रहा है। मोदी कहता है कांग्रेस वाले नॉर्थ ईस्ट जाए या न जाए, मुझे तो नॉर्थ ईस्ट और असम आते ही अपने लोगों के बीच होने का एहसास होता है। मोदी के लिए असम का विकास ये जरूरत भी है, जिम्मेदारी भी है और इसकी जवाबदेही भी है।
The Prime Minister said that his government prioritizes the Northeast through the Act East policy. He added that Assam is connecting India with ASEAN countries and is set to become a key driver of India's development.
हमने एक्ट ईस्ट पॉलिसी के जरिए पूर्वोत्तर को प्राथमिकता दी और आज हम असम को भारत के ईस्टर्न गेटवे के रूप में उभरता देख रहे हैं। असम भारत को आसियान देशों से जोड़ने के लिए ब्रिज की भूमिका निभा रहा है। ये शुरुआत अभी बहुत आगे तक जाएगी और असम कई क्षेत्रों में विकसित भारत का इंजन बनेगा।
PM Modi was also greeted warmly by people who lined up on the side of the road as his cavalcade travelled through the city of Guwahati. The meteorological department in Kashmir has forecast a spell of wet weather beginning today, coinciding with the onset of Chillai Kalan, which is the 40-day long period of harsh winter cold. The period, which starts on December 21st and continues until January 31st, marks the harshest phase of winter in Kashmir and is traditionally associated with extreme cold and heavy snowfall. With a cold wave already gripping the valley over the past few days, the most areas recording sub-zero temperatures during the night, residents believe this year's Chillai Kalan is likely to live up to its reputation. Meanwhile, India Meteorological Department or IMD has forecast snowfall over western Himalayan region for the next 4 days. Bangladesh is once again on the boil following the attack on student leader Sharif Osman bin Hadi. The UN chief Antonio Guterres has called for calm with arson, violence reported in several districts across Bangladesh. The next report navigates through the developments in greater detail.
Dhaka is burning. So are many other cities in Bangladesh. The current spate of violence was triggered following the attack on Sharif Osman bin Hadi on December 12th. Hadi, who succumbed to his injuries in Singapore on December 18th, was a prominent leader of the violent student protests, which led to the ouster of Sheikh Hasina and paved the way for the interim administration of Mohammad Yunus. Meanwhile, United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has called on all stakeholders in Bangladesh to exercise restraint, reduce tensions and refrain from violence as the country moves towards parliamentary elections scheduled for February. Condemning the killing of youth protest leader Sharif Osman bin Hadi, the UN chief extended condolences to his family and urged Bangladeshi authorities to carry out a prompt, impartial investigation in line with international human rights standards. The United Nations Human Rights Chief has called for a swift and impartial investigation.
We call for calm and for everyone to refrain from violence. Retaliation and revenge will only deepen divisions and undermine the rights of all. We urge the authorities to conduct a prompt, impartial, thorough and transparent investigation into the attack that led to Hadi's death and to ensure due process and accountability for those responsible.
Reports of arson and violence have emerged from several districts of Bangladesh. In Lakshmipur, a child was burned to death and 2 others seriously injured after miscreants set fire to the house of a local BNP leader early on Saturday. In Chattogram, unidentified attackers torched the residence of National Democratic Front President Barrister Anisul Islam Mahmood. Sporadic incidents of violence were also reported in Dhaka and other major cities. Citing security risks, the Bangladesh Shilpakala Academy has suspended all programs and exhibitions indefinitely following recent attacks on cultural institutions, including Chayanot and Udichi. Amid the unrest, Bangladesh's 2 leading newspapers, the Daily Star and Prothom Alo, have resumed print and online operations after temporarily halting services following vandalism and arson attacks on their offices earlier this week. The lynching of a Hindu youth in Moimunsingh and the horrific burning of his dead body in full public glare has sent shockwaves worldwide and raised serious questions about the safety of minorities in the country. With bureau inputs, Naval Sangh Parmar's report from Dhaka for DD India.
And time now for some sports news. India will take on Pakistan in the Under-19 Asia Cup final in Dubai today. India have dominated the tournament as they remain unbeaten so far. They began their campaign with a thumping 234-run win over the United Arab Emirates. They defeated Pakistan in their second clash before thrashing Malaysia in the Indian women's cricket team will lock horns with Sri Lanka in the first T20 International in Visakhapatnam today. The 5-match series will be India's first international engagement since becoming the world champions in the ODI format last month. Several members of the World Cup winning contingent, including Captain Harmanpreet Kaur, Vice Captain Smriti Mandhana and Player of the Series Deepti Sharma are in the squad. Coach Amol Mazumdar has also handed maiden India call-ups to 19-year-old wicket-keeper batter Gunalan Kamalini and left-arm spinner Vaishnavi Sharma. Meanwhile, Sri Lanka will be led by experienced Shamari Atapattu. A range of animals at Whipsnade Zoo in southern England get into Christmas spirit, with zookeepers providing surprises including scented crackers and treats hidden in festive packaging. Have a look. Well, beautiful visuals, aren't they? It's Christmas time and everyone is getting gifts. And we are also hoping that we'll get gifts as this is Christmas season. Well, that's all for this edition of DD India Live. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For all those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms, and you can scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.